Well, thank you for staying with us on the AM show. Our apologies for the slight delay. We faced a bit of a technical glitch. But here we are, and Akufo-Addo, a lawyer, joins us as we get into the diet of papers we have this morning. It's a short stack we have. It's just the Daily Graphic, the Daily Guide, and the Business Finder. But there are many issues that have arisen that we're going to be discussing with him. We just might go online as well to check out what the portals are saying. But let me say a very good morning to Akufo-Addo. Good morning, sir. You would have to unmute, Mr. Paintel. All right, we'll try to get back to lawyer Akufo-Addo. In the interim, you know the segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and it's same for today. Now, here's what they are offering you. If you're a man, they're offering you prostate screening, gratis, for free. If you're a woman, they're offering you, well, fertility screening, also for free. Now, do you know your status? Have you even ever checked your prostate? If you haven't, you're treading on dangerous grounds, because nowadays it is known that very young people, even in their 30s, are coming up with prostate-related issues. If you're a man, you don't want to take that for granted. As for the female fertility issues, we know about the fibroids and many other things that are creating or wreaking havoc on women's reproductive capacities. So you don't want to take any of that for granted. That is why all of us must head to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, here's where you can find them. Here in Accra, they are at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. In Takrade, they can be located at the Anaji Estates in Tema. Back in the Greater Accra region, they are located in Community 22. Then there's Techiman Hanswa and Esiama and Zema. I'm sure you'd like to call them, which you should. And the numbers to call, 0244 867 068, 0244 867 068. There is also 0274 234 321, 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review. Let's try one more time with lawyer Akufo-Addo. Good morning, sir. All right, so we'll proceed as and when we can get Akufo-Addo, we'll connect him. But I want to find out from you two things I want you to share your thoughts with me on. One has to do with Asin North. And tomorrow, as I share my blunt thoughts, it's one out of three crucial issues I'm going to be delving into. What do you make of what happened there? What do you make of the verdict of the people? What do you make of the money that was thrown at people, allegedly, from both sides? The NDC, according to some people, complicit. The MPP, also complicit. But you heard the chant at the end of the entire contest and the collation of votes and all of that. Some people singing that they had chopped Charles Opoku's money and he had voted against him. But the element I want us to focus on, two of them. One, the fact that our democracy is growing and we can have a by-election this peacefully. Kudos, I salute the Ghana Police Service for the work they did there, ensuring that there was sanity, though there were a few skirmishes here and there, but largely peaceful. So our democracy is growing. If people can, take it, it's criminal. It's not right for them to take money from these people. But even if they did and they exercised their franchise with their conscience, I feel that is apt. But the role of money in our politics is not something we can run away from. How do we deal with this issue? What are your suggestions? I'd like you to share those with me this morning. Just shoot us a message. Don't make it too long. Shoot us a message. Let me know. The second issue has to do with, yes, it's topical, and it also reflects on our society in myriad ways. I've listened to very prominent people, common people, speak to this issue. Yvonne Nelson and Sarkodie, and how the different dynamics. I don't think either one of them is guilt-free, but the tenor the conversation has taken, and the jabs and the stabs and the disses, what do you make of them? Are they being mature enough? Both of them. But maybe even more, Sakwadie. You know, for me, when he hadn't responded after a while, I felt, oh, lovely. He's just going to let sleeping dogs lie. It's not everything you try to explain away on. My opinion, I mean, I'm not blaming him, I'm not faulting him, but some of his language, for me, was in poor taste. Some of it. I'm not saying he can't defend himself, and I'm a man. I understand that in our society, sometimes the man is always perceived to be wrong, no matter what. It's a lose-lose situation. You will never be right. But sometimes it's okay. It's okay. You were what, 22? She was 25. Some would say she should have known better. But there are so many dynamics. Share your thoughts with me on these two matters, yeah? I'd love to know. Lawyer Painter, can you hear me now?
I hear you, yes.
Great. Do you have any thoughts on those two matters? I mean, as for Asin, we'll be getting into it, so you can reserve your comments. But do you have any thoughts on the Yvonne Nelson Sarkodie drama that is playing out?
Personally, I think once in a while, it's good that we have these kind of discussions. However, and no matter how unsavory exchanges would be, at least it lets everybody know that we must be extremely careful about everything we do, because one day nobody knows and these issues can come up. It only means that we must be careful what we do in secret, what we do publicly, because nothing is hidden. But apart from that, if I see the nature of the conversation that is going, I think they just need to be cautioned. You know, it's like
who needs to be cautioned?
Like, what we call let sleeping dogs lie.
Lawyer, please clarify for me. I want to find out.
Commentary.
Lawyer Painter, can you hear me?
Going on, and it's when it comes to that I believe somebody needs to caution both of them or all of them. So that's the way I see it. But what it means is that once in a while we will all come to see that the people that are out there that we see, whom we even think are models for our children and so forth and so on, they're human beings like us. The Bible says Elias was like passion. Elias, in spite of everything that he did, at the end of the day, was like any other human being. So I believe that's a very useful lesson that we all get to know, so that sometimes we don't even judge ourselves too low. I mean, that possibly we are not able. But at the end of the day, my view of this matter is that we all should strive to live the best of lives that we can. Because the exchange about abortions, maybe yes, have come out. I mean, that's just one abortion. We know of women who have 3, who have 4, who have 5, and so forth and so on. So we must all be careful. We live in a glass house, and it is only one day that glass house will be exposed to the public.
Right.
So that's the way I'm looking at it now.
All right. Thank you for sharing your quick thoughts on that matter. I await hearing yours as well. Yes, you watching us right now. But let's get into the Daily Graphic newspaper now. Why EA secures jobs for 84,000 youth in 6 months. While I don't mean to put a dent on this, sometimes you ask yourself, with all these claims and the things we tout, we've created 150,000 jobs, 300,000 jobs, 1 million jobs. Sometimes you ask yourself where the jobs are being created, where the jobs are. But I'll get the details from the story so we can all share our thoughts on them. Things getting better. Economy grows 4.2% first quarter. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. Then there's democracy is about development. Jachi Kwesen says so. The newly elected or still retained Member of Parliament for Asin North. Then there's dispute resolution. Judge affirms judiciary traditional authorities partnership. And then President Lord's peaceful poll at Asin North. On the back page, Nzulezu, or I hear from those there that it's Nzulezu in the language. Jomoro communities flooded, and this is pathetic. This is pathetic. When you look at the scenes from there, it is in fact pathetic. It reminds me of the last time I went to Titegu and some incidents there. If you look at how water had engulfed the area, gone into people's rooms, destroyed property, it's pathetic. But let's start from the start, yeah? Things getting better. Now, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has stated that the government will continue to pursue policies and programs that have ensured that, quote, things are getting better. He gave the assurance that things would continue to get better. Now, the president said the attitude and commitment of the government in maintaining flagship policies, programs, and evolving new strategies in the face of the economic crisis that enabled it to secure an IMF program in record time would be the same in navigating the turbulence. Those policies, the president added, had resulted in the economy growing by 4.2% in the first quarter of the year. He also said that in spite of the hardships precipitated by the COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the government was standing by its major policy commitments. He said, "We have continued to keep the lights on. We have continued to provide free SHS education," he stated. But the free SHS, the IMF lawyer Painsall has said it is poorly targeted. Recently, I listened to Stephen Amwa, Member of Parliament for Ishaya, so Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, who said, look, every policy after a while ought to be looked at. So he thinks the right way to go is to tweak it. And when Mr. President also talks about the economy and everything that is happening, there are some question marks. In fact, many question marks when he talks about we have continued to keep the lights on. The IPPs, lawyer Painsall, are threatening to take our lights away because of the debt that we owe them. What are your quick reflections on what the president is saying vis-a-vis what the reality is?
Well, the only reason we live is to ensure that things get better. And the duty of government in the very first place is to ensure that things get better. The only problem arises only when the measure of things getting better is in dispute. What is the index? What is it that we used to measure? Unfortunately, in this country, like those of us, or I'm speaking for myself, I watch CNN a lot. We've got institutions, individuals who do what they call fact-checking. In other words, when politicians come up and put up statements, we have institutions who are able to determine on an index-to-index basis what they call the truth or the falsity of a particular allegation. So let's take the indices. Which one? Do we, for instance, use the rate of the dollar against the cedi? Because that is one of the very first things that determines the prices of things on the market. Every time that you go to the market and they are giving you a new price, they tell you, it's amazing. Market women tell you it's the dollar. And you don't even know what they bring into the country that makes the dollar, the measure of our economic well-being. But what it means is that we have lived in a country, we've got to a point in time where almost everything that's going up is dependent on what they claim is the relationship of the dollar to the cedi. So if, for instance, that's the common index that everybody's using, it will be difficult to say that things are improving, are really improving. That's just the first point. And so forth and so on. When you take this across this thing, we have not been given. Is it, for instance, and of course, our economists, I'm talking about the Office of Government Statistics, they try to bring out the things on the market, even ordinary products, tomatoes, call it pepper, bag of rice, bag of grain. All those things are the true measure. If somebody can tell me that between the time that the IMF package came in, for instance, an odunka of Gary has come down by this price, those are the real things. Telling us about the lights being on or still being on, it's like telling us that we should be lucky that we still have lights, which for me is not even fair, it's not even proper. But then, having regard to what we have also heard, on social media and government information about the unduly and heavily priced, contracts that the NDC government went into, which is what even the World Bank's representative in Ghana talked about. That it gives cause to worry because based on the kind of statistics that was rolled out by even the World Bank representative and other information, it's like about half or so of all the revenue generated by JRA is going into servicing those contracts. And then raises an issue as to how responsible our government are. I'm talking about whoever brought the contract. Now they also come back, they tell us that, they tell us to be happy about the kind of thing. So, what is really happening in this country now is that if we're not careful, we all become cynical because we don't know who is saying what and what is the truth and where it lies. And therefore, I'm speaking for myself. I'm sorry, but I have to confess. Maybe I'm not so down the line. I'm what you call middle class. And what it means is that I can afford certain basics. But I live with people. I live with parents. I have relatives. I have all manner of people who are down there, and they face these things on a daily basis. And somehow, some of their problems, they come into my pocket. And so, let's hope that things improve. But speaking for myself, telling me that I should be happy that I still have life is not comforting enough. That's a brief commentary that I like to make on these issues of economics and how lucky Ghanaians are and so forth and so on.
All right. Let's now turn to page 16 and trust, transparency, cure for vigilantism. That's according to Dr. Akufo-Addo. Now, a peace and development lecturer with expertise in security at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Patrick Akufo-Addo, has advocated for trust and transparency as the cure for vigilantism in the electoral process. While commending the Ghana Police Service for the measures adopted for last Tuesday's Asin North by-election, Dr. Akufo-Addo said the stakes for the 2024 general election were higher and required a lot more to keep the country's peace. And let me just tie in. President Lord's peaceful poll at Asin North. Now, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has stated that the peaceful and credible conduct of the Asin North by-election has strengthened the country's democratic credentials. In a statement issued by the presidency, the president therefore commended the Electoral Commission, the security services and the media for executing their mandates in ensuring a peaceful and credible election. He said, "We once held the Asin North seat, and I'm confident that sooner rather than later, Asin North will be blue again." But especially as what I'm going to talk about bodes on the law, and you're a lawyer. You recall the president's comments before the election that, look, why vote for someone who is mired in a criminal case? Suggesting that if Kwesi were to get elected, then the courts, he would have a rough day at the courts. Some have said that that was prejudicial, especially considering that the president, right before saying that, had said that, look, some have suggested that maybe I have a hand, tweaking, pulling strings at the judiciary to ensure that things go the way they are with James Gyakye Quayson, but I have no hand in it. And then right after that, he said what he did. What are your reflections on these stories? And from the legal standpoint, was the president prejudicing the issue with his commentary?
From a legal standpoint, what the president said, in my view, is what I call is below the belt, completely below the belt. It's not for the president to make those statements. They are prejudicial only up to a point, and I will explain it. As a matter of law, when a matter is before a court for trial, it's not proper for anybody to comment and make judgmental statements. In other words, it's not proper for someone to comment in a way as to suggest that the case is going to go in a particular way, whatever happens. That is the point at which that matter or that comment becomes prejudicial, because the matter is sub judice. Sub judice in the sense that it is pending for trial and for determination. At the end of the day, our legal system has given only one person the power and authority to make pronouncements as to the conclusive nature of every matter, and that is the judge. But that's the first point. Having made a prejudicial statement, the next issue is whether there is a chance, there's a possibility, there's a likelihood that that prejudicial statement can affect the eventual outcome of the case. In jurisdictions, but even we have that in Ghana, in jurisdictions where trials of this nature are done by a jury, US, almost every criminal matter is tried by a jury. The jury is, it consists of men and women who are in the community, who are ordinary men and women. And you all even know that when a jury is empaneled, they try to shield them from the public, from everything that goes on and so forth and so on. But modern day means of communication has grown to the point where it is practically impossible to shield a trial by jury or the jurors from social media. And therefore, when such issues have come up, there is a tendency to argue that those sentiments or those comments which are prejudicial may affect the minds of the jurors to the point where they will not be balanced enough to make a judgment of their own. That is tried by juries. That's where the likelihood of prejudice is very, very strong. But in Ghana, where trial of this nature is by a judge is presumed to be fortified sufficiently to be able to concentrate on the facts and the evidence that is before the court rather than any other comment that anybody makes on social media.
Right.
That's point number one. And point number two. The point number three is that, the argument that the president made that statement, which we all agree is prejudicial, would necessarily influence a judge is, with due respect, an insult to a judge. Because a judge has gone to, that's what we do to our judges in this country. And I don't believe we are being fair to our judges. Because we have bastardized our judges to the point where, like I said, we come back to the whole issue of cynicism. In other words, when a judge does something that goes in your favor, he's a hero. When a judge does something against you, he's a villain. It's not right. It's not proper. Sometimes I wish the judges themselves had a mouth to respond to some of these issues.
But let me ask you something. We've all had a reason at a point to bash the judges, from the number 12, I believe, and what emanated from there. Among other things, some judges seem to be taking goats and plantain and all of that. Of course, to be fair to the system, that is just a minute portion of them. But it's like the lizard when it defecates, all white, and then it puts that blob of black on top. That black spoils everything. So they say one bad nut spoils the soup. So that is the problem. And some people have challenges with the system when it is seen to be corruptible, so to speak. Is that not the bottom line when it comes to this issue?
Well, I partly agree with you, but I wouldn't accept it as enough justification for the way we have bastardized our judges. There are lawyers who are crooked as anything. Even if you said that when lawyers die, they bury them with their face downwards, even though I never saw one. But it doesn't make me, unless you have had the opportunity of dealing with me one-on-one.
Right.
It's to be like any of those people. So these are perceptions. And we must be careful how we deal with perceptions. That's all that I'm trying to say. We're not judges. Come on, we talk about judges. Judges talk about lawyers. At the bar, we know lawyers who are dishonest to the court. Why are we not talking about them?
Right.
We also know judges. Some of the clients, they talk to us. But please, there are so many of them who are above these politics and all these tax and so forth and so on. So that is the only request that I'm making, that we must be alert. It's like the case of throwing what they call the dirty water with the baby.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The bath water with the baby. That's what I think we must do. That on the facts of this particular case, personally, I'm speaking for myself, I have no reason to believe that if the president even says jail Jachukwesin, the judge will be compelled to jail Jachukwesin if the evidence, because the law is about facts. That's allegation.
So I think, Lawyer Paintel, the point is made. You trust the legal system to do justice in this matter. I have to rush you a bit because we're running out of time. Just to wrap the conversation, so on page 16, Jachikwesin, democracy is about development. That is what he's saying. Quoting him, he says, I saw this position because of my deep commitment to Asin North and its developmental agenda. I cannot read the rest of it. But the YEA secures jobs for 84,000 youth in 6 months. And the Youth Employment Agency has provided employment opportunities for over 84,000 youth in various sectors of national life in the first half of the year. Officials said the agency also created some jobs for the youth under the innovative modules carved out to ensure that more Ghanaian youth got skills and employment. Sometimes I wish that all these figures that are bandied around, we would really see them in action and they wouldn't be so short term. The Daily Guide, 6 more, all these issues here we've already looked at, apart from Sankofa gold workers and police grips, and 6 more Papavi fighters jailed 26 years. That story is on page 3. And another group of 6 persons standing trial in connection with violent demonstrations in the Volta region and calling for the separation of the region from the rest of Ghana have been handed a total of 26 years in hard labor. That's the prison term that has been handed out to those people. And finally, the Business Finder newspaper. Reverse high interest rates. Now, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Stephen Amwa, says the situation where governments borrow from the domestic market at a higher interest rate than the private sector must be reversed. He cited the example of interest rates of government securities such as treasury bills being higher than what investment instrument of commercial banks offer in the country. And he's been speaking in recent times to my colleague, Samuel Kojo-Brace. Any thoughts, quick thoughts on these matters? We have a minute.
I'll pick on the high interest rate, the way it rolls out in court. It turns out that we don't appear to have any law in this country that regulates interest rates as between borrowers and creditors. And what it is that we've got some unreasonably, I don't know how to call it, all kinds of interest. And sometimes, in the jurisdictions in which they make these policies and they come in, there is a cap on what people can be liable to in the event that they borrow. In Ghana here, if the two of us contract, I'm taking what we call a womotia from you at 62% a week for the next 5 years, and I default, the court will enforce it. And the only argument is that, yes, I agree to it. It should not be so. It shouldn't be so. We must have a clear policy. That's all my point I would say.
Mr. Painter, we're grateful that you've taken the time to join us this morning. It's unfortunate I couldn't see you face to face, but I know you're well, and I wish you the best of the day, sir. And that is Kweku Painter, a lawyer. He joined the conversation. Right before we veer into sports, two people celebrating their birthdays today. Baba Sego, my own good friend from the University of Ghana way back when. Happy birthday to you and your twin sister. You're one amazing person. God bless and keep you and grant you both long life doing his will. Now, this one is from Oshiera Bian Nyowa Penyin Dumping Pepesa Hene. And it says, the love of my life, the sugar in my cocoa, you have been a reliable power behind my success. You have been of immense support to me and have contributed hugely to my growth. I am eternally grateful. Thanks for being an awesome wife and caring mother to our children. Blessed birthday to you, my wife, Oheneyere Adelaide Bian Nyowa. So Adelaide, happy birthday to you from your husband, the Dumpim Pepesa Hene. And this segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening. Locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's also Takrade Anaji State, Tama Community 22, Techiman Hanso and Esiama in Zama. You can reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of sports. Up next.